Hi, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another gaming video. So, today we're going to look at Bayonetta. If you don't know, I really enjoy spectacle fighters and character action games because they are somewhat of a dying genre. They've largely been replaced by Souls-likes, but honestly, there's something to be said for just like using a big sword, punching and kicking things, doing big combos, or in the case of Bayonetta, firing off your guns.
Long since erased from the records of time, there once existed two European clans who served as overseers.
Now, the one thing with playing a game like this is it requires a lot of button inputs.
The Umbra Witches, dwellers of the darkness.
So it's a little tougher to commentate while I'm playing.
Of light.
Big combo.
Great respect.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because when Bayonetta was first released, it was viewed as slightly controversial. Because, again, when she attacks, she basically creates these giant fists and feet out of her hair, and she ends up in like various states of undress while this happens. So, you know, when this came out on the 360 originally, it was pretty controversial. It's like, oh my god, she's basically, you know, a playable stripper. She gets naked while she attacks. In time, perspectives really changed on this. You know, again, we have HBO these days. We have, you know, Game of Thrones, where like people are just naked every single episode.
Assassination and casualty. It was truly a gruesome war.
And as you can see, I'm quite rusty, but anyway, like I was saying, now she's literally a Nintendo character. So, you know, it's kind of interesting how times and standards change. I think Western society as a whole is slightly less concerned about the woman's body, you know, being on display in the interactive medium. We're just not as concerned about it anymore. Because, yeah, she is literally owned by Nintendo now, and if you don't know, Nintendo makes entirely family-friendly games. So, you know, Bayonetta can't really be considered controversial anymore. And of course, the thing with Bayonetta that makes her different from Dante is she actually prefers guns to a giant sword.
Fearing the witch's dark abilities, humans began.
But yeah, you know, spectacle fighters compared to a Souls-like are not down to earth at all. The whole point is that just like crazy stuff is happening on your screen constantly, and it's fun for that reason.
Human faith in the miracles of their god pushed the witch hunts further, and soon the Umbra Witches, keepers of the darkness, were extinguished from the earth. All but one.
Yeah, so like I was saying, you know, we kind of went from thinking that Bayonetta was this very controversial, you know, stripping witch character to her being a Nintendo property. Personally, I never thought that Bayonetta was an attractive character. Even on release, I did not see the controversy because you're basically playing as a giant stripper giraffe. Her proportions are super weird. Her legs are like 3/4 of her body. She looks like Sarah Palin. You know, there's nothing really attractive going on there in terms of character design. And I think that was intentional. It's not that like Hideki Kamiya, the creator of Bayonetta and also the creator of the original Devil May Cry series, he didn't, you know, aim to make a disproportionate character. His aim was to create a character that was the female equivalent of Dante. If Dante is just like naked chest and abs and pure masculinity and, you know, pizza woohoo fun man, then Bayonetta is essentially the female equivalent of that. But instead of eating pizza, she likes lollipops, and instead of a giant sword, she likes using guns attached to her hands and feet, like giant stiletto heels. So, again, I don't personally think that there was ever anything that was particularly attractive about Bayonetta as a character design. And therefore, if she's not attractive, she's not controversial. I think that's the golden rule. Even going like way back to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There were depictions in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you know, in the 80s of attractive cartoon characters. But of course they weren't attractive because they were cartoon characters. And I think the same thing applies to video games for the most part. Yeah, as you can see there, in terms of Bayonetta's proportions, her legs are like a giraffe's. She is just, her legs are freakishly large. They're huge legs, and she has like this little tiny torso, little tiny head, and she's mostly legs.
They take care of us. Now, I prefer my shoes made out of rubber, not concrete.
Now, Bayonetta 3 kind of fell flat, and that's why we're looking at Bayonetta 1, because it is the best of the series. But if you want to, you can play Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 3 on your Switch. You can go for that, but we're doing the Xbox 360 original. And not to mention that her chest is also like hilariously pointy and polygonal. Like, everything about the character design is not made to be attractive.
You can keep praying, but the only way these guys meet in the
Yeah, she's basically the female equivalent of Dante. Dante is abs and machismo and fun masculinity. Bayonetta is female empowerment. In fact, I would almost describe Bayonetta as a feminist character. A feminist video game character. And again, she is owned by Nintendo now, so clearly they thought the same thing.
Well then, adios.
She, you know, Samus wears a big suit of armor and goes around shooting aliens with their arm cannons. Bayonetta, you know, is the opposite of Samus. Instead of using a big suit of armor to fight, she gets into states of undress, and through that power of her hair and her witch weaves, she kills angels. That's what Bayonetta does. And sometimes in the sequel, she kills demons too.
But they're there, ain't they? You hearing me? You can see them, can't you?
I see them. They are instruments of God.
So this reveal is really fun because, like, you're thinking that she's a nun, but, you know, you're going to see what happens next. If you've never played Bayonetta, you're going to want to change that. Devil May Cry and Bayonetta are the two best character action games in the world.
Keep safe the souls of our loved ones for all eternity.
Now, of course, it makes me feel very old that the original Bayonetta came out on the 360. It's the world we live in. Dante originally came out on the PS2. So these are old character franchises. You know, I'm not sure if we'll see a Bayonetta 4 from Nintendo, just because it is a little bit of a budget risk. I'm not sure if we'll see a Devil May Cry 6 from Capcom, because it is a bit of a budget risk. But for the people like me, who love these characters in these franchises, Dante and Bayonetta, they love Hideki Kamiya and the characters he's created, because he did make both. I think the only character that was made by Capcom was, you know, people like V, people like Virgil. No, not Virgil. Virgil was there with Hideki Kamiya. So, the other one was Nero. So Nero and V were made by Capcom, but Hideki Kamiya made Dante and Bayonetta. He came up with those characters. And when it comes to, you know, the male and female scales of empowerment, I think they're perfect. They both look ridiculous. Like, you can't physically look like Dante in real life. You just can't. And a woman can't physically look like Bayonetta in real life. You can't have legs be 3/4 of your body. It's just not a human proportional thing.
Come on, it's my freaking birthday! Mother of Mary! Oh, shit! Forgive me, Hitman! I didn't mean all that Humpty-Dumpty shit! I swear!
And yeah, and this is what character action games are all about, as opposed to something like a Souls-like. Souls-likes are very grounded. You fight 2 enemies at a time. In a character action game, you fight entire armies of enemies, and crazy things are happening on screen.
Put your hands on me. You better make sure I'm dead. Now move out the way.
Bro, Dad?
If it ain't my good buddy Enzo, how about you get out of here?
Yeah, but I gotta say, I do miss the medium budget title, you know.
And I'm gonna have to
A lot of things about Bayonetta are deliberately medium budget, right? And again, it's like a 20-year-old game, so don't harp on the visuals too badly. Yeah, so at the time, stuff like that would have been seen as very controversial. Because she's basically wearing a hair cat suit, and when she does attack, she gets into various states of undress. And at the time, this was seen as, like, there was a lot of feminist outcry about this. But I think it's actually a female empowerment thing. Like, again, I'm not an expert on this. I studied, like, political science. I am not a gender studies major. So please, I know very little about stuff like this. But I think in broad spectrum, we can say that Bayonetta is a feminist character. And I think when Nintendo bought her IP, her intellectual property and her character design, like Nintendo just is publishing that now. I think they recognize the same thing. Like, nothing about Bayonetta is sexy.
Now, this is cheeky. Throwing me these cheap toys.
Don't worry about quantity. I've got quantity.
No, I think Bayonetta represents fun in the same way that Dante represents fun. She's not there to represent sexy or be like eye candy, male gaze stuff. I don't personally think that's the purpose of the character. But of course, Japan has sort of like a rough track record with these things, so I don't want to 100% say that's true. But again, you know, my niece can play Smash Bros, and she loves Smash Bros. My niece can play Smash Bros right now and play as Bayonetta. I think that more or less sums it up. If my niece can play as Bayonetta on Smash Bros. And she's like, you know, in grade 1, clearly nothing about the character design is inherently problematic. But I am interested in hearing your thoughts. Is Bayonetta a feminist character? Or should you be outraged about her design and the fact that she gets into various states of undress when she attacks? Again, I think she's basically grade 1 friendly at this point. So, now this first game was slightly edgier in your face than the Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 3. They changed her character design slightly. But in this first title, yeah, they were slightly more in your face with certain things.
As long as there's music, I'll keep on dancing.
So standard tutorial here for combos. Beautiful. Now, of course, the witch dodge is very big. So when you activate the witch dodge, you get like slow-mo. I'm very out of practice when it comes to the dodge mechanics. I've been playing so many Souls-likes, and the Souls-like timings are so different than a character action game. You're really supposed to wait till like the last minute to do it. So animation comes in, there's the dodge. Yeah, that's the timing. Out of practice. Yeah, in a character action game versus a Souls-like, you really want to, like, instead of buffering in the dodge, you want to do it last minute. And of course, you can follow them up into the air for air combos, and that's a big part of character action games as well. That, again, rusty, haven't played much lately. But it is unique, you know. It feels different compared to a Souls-like. The emphasis, it's all about air combat. But yeah, it's just fun. You guys miss character action games? You know, we talk a lot about, like, dead genres on this channel. We talk about dead studios. But, like, they do offer unique experiences. So, obviously, I would say that character action games are about as rare as immersive sims in terms of, like, publishing popularity right now. It's basically, everything is a Souls-like right now. Every single game published is trying to be either Dark Souls or Sekiro, more likely. Every game is trying to be that. And I don't necessarily think that that's a great game design philosophy. Just like, chase the trends, know what you know, do whatever your competitors are doing. And the other thing that kind of defines character action games is complex inputs. So in the case of Bayonetta, she can fire while doing all of her combos if you hold the button. She can also continue her combos with a dodge offset. So like, for example, when you see that I'm dodging and then the combo doesn't get interrupted, it's all very complex inputs to make that happen. In fact, you can even do a double dodge offset there, keep the combo going. And in fact, I'm so enthralled with what's happening on screen right now, despite the old visuals. Like, mechanically speaking, I'm very consumed that I'm having trouble commentating while playing. Like, you try it. It's not easy to do. But yeah, do you guys miss Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, character action games, and then obviously the discussion we had early on about Bayonetta, you know, being either a female empowerment character or being, well, I don't want to say a stereotype or discriminatory in any sense, but overly sexualized. So she's either overtly sexualized or she's a female empowerment character. Again, the fact that she's in Smash Bros. Now and she's a Nintendo character probably guesses, like, it kind of tells you the way the argument went. But there's still room for discussion. Especially with the first game. The first game is slightly more risque. The sexualization is slightly more in your face. But again, she is just like a giant stripper giraffe. So nothing about the way she's proportioned makes sense. Okay, now we're getting back into it. The dodge offsets are huge. Being able to effectively dodge attacks while continuing your combo chain is like the most important thing in this game. Ugh. Rusty. It is fun though. Like, it's just fun. Despite the fact that this game looks very old, and despite the fact that, you know, mainly it's the visuals are old, and in fact they didn't even have enough budget to like fully animate all their cutscenes. A lot of the cutscenes are this sort of slideshow presentation. Despite that, the game is just fun. And okay, so now we have to do the torture attacks. This was a thing that was really popular in action games at the time. Essentially, you do like a finishing move, right? And then you have to mash the button. I'm not as fond of it personally. I think we've kind of moved past the God of War style finishers. Like, I don't think mechanically they're very interesting, but hey, it gives you something to do with your magic energy anyway. Now, as you can see, the bullets actually do more damage than a lot of other things. Like, the bullets are great for staggering weaker enemies, so shooting in between combos is exceptionally important. Oh, that's good. We got a pure platinum there, so we took 0 damage. That's not bad. We'll watch this one just because it's fun. Oh yeah, you gotta love that blazing 20 frames per second Unreal Engine 3 footage. Thankfully, while the cutscenes look kind of janky, the actual game itself runs pretty smoothly. So the actual plot, if there is a plot to be said, is that Bayonetta has amnesia, so she doesn't know that, you know, Jean here is like her best witch friend. And the other thing that makes me think that Bayonetta is a female empowerment character, or a feminist character, or a feminist idol, is that she kind of just manhandles all the men in her life. Like, all the men in her life are kind of shown off as being kind of dumb and incompetent, and not in a bad way, just like in a fun way. Because again, not all men are superheroes. Like, I'm not Dante, and I'm not Bayonetta. I'm not Rodin. I'm not any of these characters. I'm probably, you know, somewhere like a Luca. I think I would put myself on the Luca scale. But yeah, other than Rodin, most of the male characters are shown off as not being that impressive. And Bayonetta just kind of makes fun of them and throws them around. Not in like an offensive way, but she's trying to keep them alive, more or less. So yeah, you know, I think in reality, when we thought that Bayonetta was a stripper giraffe, I think she's closer to Wonder Woman. That might be the comparison that, you know, might be worth mentioning, is that she is essentially a in-your-face, edgy Marvel superhero.
Fight long enough in there and you'll really lose sight.
Skip. So usually it averages out, so it should be a platinum, yeah, on average.
I should have been a pole dancer.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that line's a little, a little dated. So this is really fun. In between chapters, you get to play a mini-game. Yeah, so you get to play a mini-game, and these points can be used to buy items if you're struggling in the game. Yeah, so we got 60 points, so we should be able to buy a few things with those points. Just your general consumables. So we'll take like a healing lollipop. Or maybe we'll try something else. Okay. Dramatically increases your vitality for one chapter. That seems good. I always thought that this was cute too. I like that the level transition is like just little bobblehead things. It's like bobblehead on a map. Very cute. Let's do one more. Let's do one more chapter quickly. So I can show off more of the gameplay and like, you know, you're not familiar with what a character action game is. Because again, character action games aren't very popular, so it's entirely possible that a large number of players are out there who have never heard of Bayonetta, and they've never heard of Devil May Cry or Dante. Because again, we are talking about franchises that came out on the PS2 and Xbox 360 exclusively, and are quite dated by today's standards. That's just how it is. Oh yeah, we've unlocked our Wicked Weave ability finally. For the first chapter, you don't get to do the... let me see if I can do it right now. But yeah, basically when you do a combo ender, yeah, you get those fists afterwards, and Bayonetta's clothes obviously come off. That's her whole gimmick, but... she feels a little weak until she gets that. So now it feels normal that she's got her proper finishers again. Also, the music is really good in the Bayonetta series. So again, like, I'm a little out of practice with Bayonetta, but some of the old reflexes are still there. Yeah, it's just telling you that your combo enders now create giant fists. That's the good stuff. And once you have Wicked Weaves, it really starts coming together in terms of the combat system. But yeah, I don't think every single game needs to be a Souls-like. I really like Lies of P. That was one of the more recent Souls-likes that came out. Yeah, I really liked Lies of P, where you basically like a Pinocchio Souls-like, mixed with certain things like Bloodborne and maybe a little bit of Bioshock in there as well. Lies of P was great, but I don't think that every game needs to be a Souls-like today. I do enjoy kind of these extended combo systems. The in-your-face action, the devil-may-care attitude, all of these things feel unique and different. Like, I can play Bayonetta today, and there's nothing quite like Bayonetta anywhere else in the games industry. It just, maybe that's why it never really was a huge moneymaker. At first, this studio was about to close down, then they got bought out by Nintendo, and they did run into some financial problems. And in fact, a lot of these cutscenes aren't properly animated because they just didn't have the budget to do so at the time. Even on the 360, they were running into money issues. Usually you want to buy techniques first, personally. Which ones have we got? Portal Kick, Umbral Twist, Afterburner Kick, Breakdance. We can take Breakdance. No, this one. This is the good one, I remember. Which I don't have enough points for. Well, I guess we're not doing that. Afterburner Kick is pretty important. We'll take Afterburner Kick then. In fact, when I was doing the fighting there, I kept trying to do the Afterburner Kick, and it's just like, oh right, you gotta unlock some of this stuff. So it does make air comboing easier. There we go. But yeah, obviously God of War still exists, but like God of War kind of went from being a character action game like Bayonetta to a hairy dad game. It became more like The Last of Us, more of like a Sony style walking cutscenes and all these things that you would see in a Sony title. Walking cutscenes, open world, slow character driven development, less like in your face craziness. Couldn't see there. Sometimes the angels will drop their weapons, which is very fun, because they for whatever reason, the angel weapons are like temporary power-ups, so we can do this little stripper kick, and this will just basically destroy everybody in the vicinity. It's just fun, it's just fun, fun nonsense, right? That's what a character action game is to me. And this is the first mini-boss the game presents, so I'm going to basically fight up until this point, and then we're going to call it a day. But I do miss character action games. Like, all these cool game development styles, RTSs, point-and-click adventure games, character action games, immersive sims. There are so many kinds of games out there, But as time goes by, studios get more worried about taking chances. And yeah, after you finish killing the mini-boss, you get kind of her Wicked Weave, you know, hair monsters, which is always fun. Yeah, it's just silly, simple fun. And again, nothing about that I think is titillating for men, personally speaking. And if it was, why would Nintendo have bought it? That's kind of my, you know, take on the whole subject matter. Yeah, not as good that time. And now, so these albums can be used to unlock new weapon types. And again, this extensive combo system you see with tons of weapons. And that was normal in character action games. That like, a lot of Souls-likes, you kind of get one weapon, and you just upgrade your character through over the course of the game. In character action games, you get tons of weapons, right? Yeah, when you factor in all of Bayonetta's primary weapons and all the Angel temporary weapons, there's like a lot of different stuff in this game. Well, that's a pure platinum that time. But yeah, I think we're going to leave it there. Do you miss character action games? Do you miss games like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta? Do you think there are too many Souls-likes in the industry? And also, do you think that, you know, do you think that Bayonetta's, you know, a male gaze character or a female empowerment character? Let me know in the comments down below. This is Eternal King, signing out.